Good morning. Our hand today is going to be pocket tens. In this hand, an early position player opens at 2.5. He's playing 17-14. He's going to be fairly tight. You can see his raise first in from early positions 10%. From mid position, it's 11%. I do believe he's going to be rather tight. Like about a 10% range, which looks something like this. We've got suited broadways. We've got pocket pairs down to about eights or so. Could be stopped at nines, could go down to sevens or sixes. If we go down to sixes, we probably drop out like king 10. Queen 10 probably could be dropped as well. He's got some offsuit broadways, but overall just big hands. Big hands, so if a board comes middle or low, it's unlikely that he's going to connect with it. Folds to me, I have pocket tens. This is a hand where we can 3-bet or call. Definitely in my 3-bet or call range right here. And you can see I don't really have a huge number of hands in a 3-bet call range. Now I would be 3-betting standard queens plus ace queen, and then we can mix in these other ones. The reason we're a little bit tight is because this is an early position player and he is tight. So I would err on the side of caution here and call instead of raise, because I think if I raise with tens, I raise with some of these other hands, villain's going to be calling with most of these broadways. He doesn't have a whole lot of weaker hands that will fold, or weaker hands that'll call but then fold right to the flop as soon as they miss. So I don't think there's a huge incentive to raise here. Maybe the only incentive would be to isolate, get villain 3, villain 4 to fold. They're both playing looser, with the small blind playing 36%, but even if we just call here and small blind calls, we're going to be in position. So I did choose to call here. It folded around, and the two of us take flop. Flop comes out queen 9-4. Not terrible. The queen definitely hits his range. I would expect him to be c-betting here. For us, we've got flush draw. We have backdoor straight draw. We have a hand that's playable. If a 10 comes, it wouldn't be a club, so we would trip up and we would still maintain our flush draw, have the draw to a full house, and maybe encourage ace king, king jack to come along with a to the river. So villain bets 6, he bets a full-size pot here. What is he going to do this with? He bet rather large here. So the question is he capable of betting large with his draws? Is he capable of betting large with his weaker hands? Or is this just basically standard for him? His c-bet stats is 50%, so I don't think he's just going to be betting with junk. But even when you look at the hand, king jack still has a gut shot. So while I'd like to say I could see him betting 100%, I'm not sure if he is betting 100%. So like middle pair, pocket pair, less than the top card. If they're betting, it's because of the flush. So we're going to say flush draws, he's going to be betting. Open ender straight, he's going to be betting. Probably the gut shot is going to be betting. That covers our king jack, king 10. Ace king is betting if he has, I think, a club. Well, maybe it would be 100%. I think so. We're just going to say 100% here. 100% of combos he's betting here. Sizing at 6 seems a little suspicious. I think half pot is probably going to be the flush. I think he would bet half pot with a flush. Definitely with the nut flush. Let's do that. Definitely with the nut flush, he goes half pot. With the set, I think he's betting to try to bully people out. Same with overpair, top pair. But really, I'm kind of feeling like if he has overpair, top pair, he's going to have a club. that's why he would be betting that large. Now it's on us. Are we going to be scared? I don't think so. It is a large bet here. It is a large bet. It doesn't make sense why he would do that with a nut flush draw. So I do think we have some equity here. I would say definitely tens and jacks we would call. Well, tens and jacks if we have the flush. I don't think the eights are going to be calling with that weak flush. Yeah, we got our jacks, we got our tens, we got the rest of our nut flush draw. I think the open ender we can call. I think gut shot we call too. Keep them honest. Top pair definitely is going to call. Sets, flushes. Is there any time when we would raise here? And I'm trying to look, if we look at the distribution of hands that we have, I don't think so. I don't think we have enough combos overall to kind of have a raising range and a calling range here. So, I mean, if we raise with a flush, and then we raise with maybe like tens or jacks, but the tens or jacks still have some equity. I mean, we could pick up a club and win. We could pick up a jack here in this case and pick up a gut shot or an open ender for the turn and still be ahead if he doesn't have a club, or if he has a lone club. I don't think this is a spot where we should be raising. I don't think there's a spot this is a spot where we should be raising at all. I think we can check or we can call, and if he checks, we bet. And he may call thinking that we're trying to steal it. We're trying to bluff at that point. So I think that's going to be my calling range. And I did call, and then the 9 of hearts come. If we're ahead, we're still ahead. That makes it a little bit better because, I think it's less likely that villain has 9s. Could still have queens. And then we'll see what does he do. I would expect him to bet for value. Is I would expect clubs, or he should think clubs should call. So I expect him to be betting for value, including queens, including maybe ace 9, top pair, over pair. I would expect him to bet for value. So once he didn't, I'm going to exclude. Even the top pair, I think I'm going to exclude. So pocket pair, no made hand, and then nut flush draw. We're going to get rid of any of the cards that have a pair in them. We'll leave the open ender. Still has gut shots. I think something like that. So right now we are ahead. I think this is a great spot to go ahead and bet. I think even bet with all of our draws too. So when we look at this, I'm thinking even all of these that don't even have a pair, we're betting. We bet pot. Hopefully try to get him to fold. Would I do that with quads, and would I do that with the nut flush? I don't see why not, because I think we're also going to be doing it with everything else. So you can kind of see, let's break this up by value. Top pair, you've got, I'd say that's somewhat for value too. We're trying to get our equity. That's going to be bluff. That's kind of for value. That's for value. Open enders, bluff. Even gut shot's going to be for bluff. So you can see we're definitely much more value. Maybe we should be scaling it back. But I did bet, and villain called. So once he calls, I don't think he's got this pocket pair less than the top card. I don't think it's no made hand. I think it is purely these flush draws, maybe the open ender. And the open-enders, big question mark. Ooh. Yep, okay. So, all right. So we got it. He calls. River's at 3 clubs. That's not good. I kind of expect him to have that club. Once he checks, I think we're going to be checking behind because I think we're dealing with 100% flush at this point. We have our flush. We lose to the hands that I believe are in his range. So I think he's got ace, king, or jack of clubs. So I think we just check behind and take the showdown. We did, and he shows king, queen, which is not what I expected. So where did we go wrong with this? Here. We had his bet, and then the 9 of hearts comes out. At this point, I expected him to bet for value, and he checked. So if he checked the top pair for value, maybe he checks his over pair for value too. Still has those. Still has those. Still has that. Alright, so he checks calls. Nope. And then let's get rid of the no made hands. I don't think he'd call with jacks and tens unless they're part of the clubs. So we're looking at that, and then 3 of clubs. All right, so this is where we are at. Knowing, let's take a note for this guy. He called. Let's see here. So it was on the flop. See that pot out of position with the king queen diamonds on queen 9-4 club board, and then checked on 9 heart. Actually, check called. Check. I think that's better. So if I bet what hands are calling, I'm gonna guess maybe top pair does call. Top pair and over pair does call. Maybe. We'll color code these. If he calls, it would be about 50-50. He would have me on the flush draws. So about 50% of the time I win, 47% of the time he wins. If I bet pot, he only needs to be at, or he's getting 2-1. So he needs to be good 33% of the time. 2-1. He'll get that if he has the flush. Yeah, I'm offering myself 50%. If I bet pot, I'm trying to win pot, so I need to win 50% of the time with that. And I would if he calls completely with those overpair and top pairs, but we can't guarantee that. So a half pot bet might have been a little bit better. A half pot value bet. I only need to win. I'm offering myself, let's see here, half to 1, so 2-1. I need to be good 33% of the time. That could be close. So let's say he always calls with the overpair and top pair. Actually, let's just do this. Let's say 50% of the time he calls. There we go. Yeah, even if he calls 50% of the time, I still win 40% of those. What about the overpairs? Let's make sure we get those overpairs as well. Yeah, still 35%. So if he calls these with 50% frequency, we're going to be good. If he never calls those, then we're in a load of hurt here. So maybe we really have to know this villain in order to decide if we're going to go for some value here. Just based on the numbers and how he called that pot size bet on the turn. That is just, it's a large bet with top pair second kicker on an obvious flush and a 9. Yes, he called correctly because we had 10s and we were drawing, but would he have called the river? Maybe not. Maybe not. Quarter bet might have worked. Quarter bet might have worked. But anyways, didn't get this hand. I didn't think he would necessarily call that pot size bet, or that he would check with his queen, but he did. So we took a note on him. If we see him again, we'll be able to see that that's how he plays it. Definitely, that's big top pair, and then checked on the turn, probably because the board was monotone. And maybe we'll have to make a value bet, a thin value on the river, and see if he calls. Alright, if you enjoyed this hand, look tomorrow for another.